What up, the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. Make sure y'all sign that petition, get Donald Trump off Twitter. Change.org, look in the video description if you watching this on YouTube, or go straight to change.org and look up exactly why he should be removed from that platform. Now, I think we should still sign this up just in case impeachment proceedings don't go as they plan to, but it seems like people are moving forward. I mean, it'll at least be televised due to the House of the Representatives actually voting on formalizing impeachment earlier this week. Next week, we'll begin televised impeachment hearings. One of the top testimonies would be from the former top ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor, who actually testified and had his transcripts released earlier this week that showed that he actually said it was Trump's personal lawyer and former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani's idea to do the quid pro quo and get Ukraine to commit to open an investigation against Biden. Stupid ass. But Washington Post is reporting that Trump actually asked Attorney General William Barr to make a public statement about saying that July 25th phone call between Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, was actually that he broke no laws, but Barr refused to do so. So, you know what I'm saying? We'll see how this goes out, though. Green Wall and Graduation is getting interesting. It's getting spicy. It's some reality TV shit for sure. What up, the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, he actually approved of an expanded military mission out there in Syria. Now, remember how I told y'all Trump actually wanted to bring the troops home from Syria? You know, this all being after he told them to step down from backing the Kurds. So then the allowing for the Turkey militia to actually come in and basically wage war against the Syrian Kurds, or the Kurdish forces in northern Syria that are backed by Syrian government officials, forces, pardon me. So, in doing that, though, he was initially bringing the troops home and trying to have some stations in Iraq. Then he wanted some to remain, just a few hundred to remain out in Syria to secure the oil fields. But now it's seeming like they're expanding that mission to like a 90-mile expansion of oil fields, and it's going to put them in direct conflict, some critics say, with the Russian and Turkey militias that are actually going in war with the Syrian Kurds. So, you know, shit might look worse before it gets better. All this is secure some oil. Like, seriously, Green Wall and Graduation. New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. CNN is reporting that Mark Esper, the Secretary of Defense in the United States, he's planning on basically urging Trump to stay out of the businesses of these trials going on against military members. Trump has reportedly opened up investigations into the case of Clint Lawrence, former Army lieutenant, who is sentenced, who's actually doing a 19-year bid due to him ordering troops to open fire on these unarmed Afghan motorcyclists back in 2012. You know, basically setting off a massacre without reason. And then also with Army Green Beret Major Matthew Goldstein, who actually had murdered a supposed Afghan bomb maker. It was said that Goldstein said that he basically killed him and burnt his body up, but you know, could have been another innocent case, and that person's facing a murder trial. That happened back in 2010. And also, Trump wants to restore the rank of former Navy SEAL, current Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher, who was actually facing a murder charge, and that had got dropped this summer, where he basically killed 2 Iraqi civilians and was said to have stabbed a teenage captive in the neck. And he got off because he basically, the doctor actually said that it wasn't the neck stabbing that killed him. The doctor admitted to giving the kill shot, whatever, some funny shit, but that's what's going down. Green Wall Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So a federal judge actually voided Trump's so-called conscience rule, which basically allows for healthcare providers to refuse services to patients due to the healthcare workers' own religious beliefs. Also allows them to refuse to refer patients to other healthcare providers that might carry out those procedures due to their religious beliefs or whatever. So, what procedures we talking about? Abortion, you know what I'm saying? But I imagine that there's some other things that fuck with the psyche of healthcare workers, where they might feel like this is unconscionable and they don't want to do this or whatever. But mostly abortion, you know what I'm saying? And we'll see what this turns into though. Green War and Graduation Party, the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So ProPublica, they actually have an investigation going into Vice President Mike Pence apparently interfering with foreign aid, with U.S. aid, specifically USAID, and rerouting that money to groups, to Christian groups, particularly Christian groups that are in Iraq. So people are worried about that. This obviously shows favoritism on the basis of religion over other groups, as well as having the possibility of causing sectarian groups to form in Iraq, you know, sowing in more division and stuff. So, you know, because when it comes down to that dollar, you know what I'm saying, people are crazy over that dollar. So you showing favoritism in other ways, you know what I mean, that could have some adverse effects. So it's worth investigating. Most likely Pence is up to some crooked shit. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. In the case of the government versus social media, I got two cases for y'all. First off, in San Francisco on Wednesday, these charges were unveiled that the Department of Justice is actually charging two former Twitter employees, one of them named Ahmad Abuamo, who's actually already been arrested. But they're charging these two employees with what? With basically giving private user data to Saudi officials in exchange for payment. So they were charged with like spying for Saudi Arabia. Then on the flip side, you have California. They're actually suing Facebook over documents related to their dealings with Cambridge Analytica. If y'all remember, Cambridge Analytica basically harvested the data of over 50 million Facebook users without their permission in efforts to sway people to vote for Donald Trump bitch ass. And they actually even already paid $5 billion to the Federal Trade Commission. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Green War and Graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Shout out to Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand. New Zealand's parliament actually just approved of some landmark legislation that calls for New Zealand as a country to reach zero carbon emissions by 2050. Now that's a bold step for. It's not as bold as the Green New Deal, let's keep it real, but that is still a bold step for a country, for it to be actually approved and for them to go about that process. That means basically making sure that there's no carbon emission from anything that you got going on, from the cars, from the factories and all of that, whatever, by 2050. So I think that's definitely respectable. Shout out to them. Green War and Graduation.